Hey guys, how's it going? Tayflex here. Hope you're doing well. After Amazfit kindly sent me over their Band 5, it's been living on my wrist for the last few weeks, and my general consensus is that it's a great fitness tracker, but an alright smartwatch. Now I will say right off the bat that I am used to daily driving an Apple Watch and have been for the last few years, and my standards of smartwatches are probably pretty high as a result of it. But the Band 5 is certainly by no means meant to be a competitor to the Apple Watch in any way, shape or form in terms of functionality or features, and I think for a simple fitness tracker it does what it's meant to do really well. So first of all, let's start off with what it's best at: health tracking. It primarily uses what is known as the Physiological Activity Indicator, or PAI, PAI for short, which is a metric that doesn't use hours or calories to tell you how healthy you are, but instead gives you a score based on your cardiorespiratory fitness. A good weekly score should be around 100 pi, but my score has been lower at around 40 to 50 as I've had to isolate at home and haven't been able to be as active as I normally would be if I was able to still go outside. I did manage to wear the Band 5 for a week before I had to isolate though, and the measurements like heart rate, calories, step counts, all of that all roughly line up with what I'm used to seeing in the activity app on my Apple Watch, so the measurements are definitely accurate. Of course, like every other fitness tracker, you can track different workouts, be that running, cycling, walking, rowing, yoga, swimming and more, which I think is plenty of variety for most people's needs. The only one I've really managed to do myself is indoor cycling, as I'm not really a gym person and of course haven't been able to go outside to do any other type of exercise, but it does tell you your heart rate, how long you've spent working out, and contributes any calories and exercise time towards that PAI goal. There are two different sensors for measuring your heart rate on the underside of the main portion on the Band 5. One for general heart rate and another for blood oxygen. And the Band 5 also allows you to set different notifications in the case your heart rate goes over a certain BPM, which is great if you like to monitor your heart because of any related issues. The blood oxygen sensor, much like I said in my Apple Watch Series 6 review, is useful for just a general measurement, but if you're looking for something that will accurately measure your blood oxygen levels, then I think it's better to just get a dedicated blood oximeter that goes on your finger instead, as the Band 5 is certainly not meant to be a medical device. Sleep tracking is also pretty good too, and although I'm not a fan of wearing anything on my wrist when I go to bed, the data that's produced afterwards in the Zepp app on your phone is very detailed, showing you light and deep periods of sleep as well as REM, when you were awake, and your heart rate throughout the entire night. All of this happens automatically, so you don't need to worry about pressing a start or a stop button, and I like that within the sleep section you can select what you did before bed and how you felt when you woke up, so that the Zepp app can then recommend to you what you need to do in order to get a better night's sleep. Although the stress measuring feature does seem to me like a little bit of a gimmick, it does actually use your heart rate variability to detect when there are spikes in your BPM, which seems fair enough as that actually makes sense. According to the Zepp app, I'm 70 to 80% relaxed on most days, but I would just take this as a general measurement and instead trust how you feel instead. To reduce any stress that you may have though, there is also a breathe out that can help to calm you down. And although it looks a little bit similar to another breathe out that I may have used in the past, it has vibrations and an open and close animation to help you follow through with the breathing exercise. Something really subtle I noticed when using the breathe out though is that there is a slight stutter in the opening and closing animation, and although I'm sure this can be easily fixed in a software update, it doesn't help me feel that calm. If anything, it makes me feel a little bit more stressed. A few other smaller exercise related features that the Amazfit Band 5 offers are that it's water resistant to 50 meters, it has idle alerts to help remind you when you've been sitting for long periods of time, and if you're a woman you can also use it to track your menstrual cycles, all of which are really handy to help you become the healthiest possible version of yourself. So as you can see, Amazfit is definitely very fitness centered, and I think that even in this limited band form factor, they've done a great job at offering a ton of different ways to track your health in an easy to understand format. As you may have noticed, the majority of the health measurements are seen afterwards in the Zepp app, and I think that this is because the display is a bit too tiny to cram all of that information on your wrist. The Band 5 has a 1.1 inch AMOLED 1080p screen, and much like the original Apple Watch, it looks good when it has a deep black OLED background, but as soon as something is full screen or the lighting hits in a certain way, the thick bezels are revealed. The bottom portion bezel actually kind of makes sense, as there's a touch capacitive home button that helps you to navigate back to the watch face, but I think that it would have been nice to see a reduction in the top portion, as there's not really a reason for it being there other than to make it symmetrical. I know at the price range of about $50 it's hard to justify producing a large edge-to-edge display, but from an ergonomic perspective it isn't the easiest thing to use. If you have thick fingers or struggle looking at things that are really tiny, then it's kind of hard to see the information like the battery or the date on the watch face. There is also no always on display option, so you do have to flick your wrist every time you want to check the time or anything like that, and I would definitely recommend that you change the response speed under lift wrist to view info on the Zepp app to sensitive, as by default it can seem a little bit sluggish. It would be nice to see an always on display, but again, at this price range, it probably isn't one of the most important things in the world. Other than that, the display is great. It gets bright enough to view in daylight, and colours are sharp and vibrant, and although it's small, you can't see any of the individual pixels unless you literally put it up to your eyeballs. There are also plenty of different watch faces of varying design in the store section of the Zepp app too. You can have anything from retro, sci-fi, minimal, or animated themed faces, and although you can't customize what's on the actual watch faces themselves, it's nice to be able to switch up your style. No matter the watch face though, the Band 5 looks pretty subtle on your wrist, and the TPU rubber band is very light and comfortable to wear, and of course it's suitable for wearing in almost all conditions. You can get it in this midnight black colour that got sent to me, or likewise you can also go for an orange or an olive green if you prefer something a little more colourful. Another thing that I really like about the Amazfit Band 5 is its battery life. It's honestly a tank. In the whole time that I've had it, I've only had to charge it once, and that's if you don't count the one time when I unboxed it to pair it. On their website, Amazfit claims 15 days with typical usage and 25 on power saving scenarios, but I managed a full 8 days without charging. And you have to bear in mind that I have been using sleep tracking and I've had automatic heart measurements going pretty much all day long. If you turn them automatic features off, then I can definitely see how the battery could last you 20 or 25 days easily, but with them on, of course, you do see some drain. Anyhow, it is certainly nice to not have to worry about having to charge your watch every other day or so, and recharging is fast at around an hour and a half to get to full using the included USB-A cable. So what is my issue with the Amazfit Band 5? As I said, it's great at fitness tracking, but not so great at being a smartwatch, and I think it really comes down to its software. It uses a custom OS that I presume is made by Amazfit themselves, and for things like just glancing at the time or auto tracking is fine, but everything just seems to get a little bit complicated as soon as you try and go and change anything yourself. The initial setup was pretty confusing as there's no dedicated power button on the band itself, and you have to download the Zepp app onto your phone and then put the band on charge and then wait for it to connect through the app instead of through Bluetooth, and then you have to make an account for storing all your health data in, and bearing in mind they give you a booklet in the box to tell you how to use it, it wasn't clear how you were supposed to pair it other than by just downloading the app and connecting it. Not only that, but the settings for the band have a very unorganized layout and are all crammed into the profile section under your devices in the Zepp app on your smartphone. Now I get that most people aren't going to go into settings all the time, but I think the layout should be really easy to use for them times that people do end up going into settings, because most of the time it's for something important. Furthermore, things like notifications or automatically measuring your heart rate or sleep all have to be enabled in settings yourself. And I get that from Amazfit's point of view it makes sense to automatically give you the longer battery life by default, but I went a full day without realizing that I could get my phone's notifications on my wrist because it wasn't clear that they were off by default. Another thing is that one of the apps that you're supposed to have accessible on the left and right swipes is Alexa. She's shown in all of the marketing images to help you add meetings or ask any questions, but for whatever reason all it comes up with for me is connecting and then can't authorize, try again later. Apparently you need to set up Alexa through the Zepp app on your smartphone by signing into your Amazon account, and it's definitely available in my region of the UK because it literally says it on the website, but there is nowhere that I could find on the Zepp app on my phone that lets you enable her, and there's no search function to let you find it without digging into all of the individual settings yourself. I'm sure that by the next iteration of the Amazfit Band 6, all of these mainly software issues can be fixed, and I think that if so, then the Amazfit Band lineup could become a great option for fitness fanatics who want something affordable that can help them to track their well-being. That being said though, for people who are looking for something that they can wear to simply tell the time, track their heart rate and sleep and workouts, as well as tell them any notifications from their smartphone, the Amazfit Band 5 is a great affordable wristband that gets all of them jobs done. And that's about it for this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here, make sure to subscribe as it would help the channel out and I would appreciate it a lot. This is TechSpecs here, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.